America is in the midst of an age boom, and Kansas City is no exception. The number of people 65 and older in the Kansas City region is expected to increase by 110% in the next 2 decades. And this senior population is showing no signs of slowing down. Maybe you're one of them. Many retirees know they have many years ahead of them and want to use all that knowledge and experience in a meaningful way. So some are beginning a second career. Take Pat Brune. After 31 years, she retired from the federal court system in the Western District of Missouri as clerk of court. She describes her role as the equivalent of a CEO in business. During her tenure, she helped design and build 3 of the 5 federal courthouses in the district. She was also instrumental in modernizing the courts by introducing the internet to the federal systems.
One of my proudest accomplishments, actually, was being able to convince the judges at that time in 1997, when the internet was 4 years old, basically, to try the internet as a way for attorneys to file cases. And we got involved in a national project in '97. We put our first case on the system in October of '97. Within 10 years, that was the way the entire federal judiciary did their business.
Pat retired in 2009, but didn't have a chance to rest on her civic laurels when 2 friends called with a need for leadership at the YWCA in Kansas City, Kansas.
So within 7 days of retirement, I found myself interviewing with the board of directors at the YWCA going, I know a lot about government, I don't know a lot about not-for-profits, I have a willing heart. If you think I can help you, let's do that. So 10 days later, I'm doing another 9-to-5 job in a totally different environment, learning how to run a coffee shop and a cafe and a black box theater and girls programming. So it was drinking from a fire hose.
Sadly, the economic downturn hit and took down a lot of nonprofits, including the Kansas City, Kansas YWCA, which closed its doors in 2011. When one door closes, another opens. Pat saw a need and began working more closely with other nonprofits in her hometown stomping grounds of Wyandotte County.
One of the people that I met there at the coffee shop was Karen Hostetler, who's working on an initiative called Next Chapter. Next Chapter being built for people like me. What are people going to do who aren't in the regular work world anymore, but aren't ready to go to the rocking chair on the porch? There's a whole bubble of boomers like myself who still have skills that they think are valuable, who want to give back to the community, which is in my heart.
Pat began using her skills, leading the Women's Chamber of Commerce, followed by serving on the Advancement Council for the Kansas City Community College, exploring how to advance the efforts of college within the community. She's working on a strategic plan with the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library, all the while starting a nonprofit consulting business with her sister.
The consulting has turned into having a particular nonprofit focus, since I've learned so much of that so quickly, and I think the thing I bring to that table is the business sense that a lot of nonprofits don't have in the back room. Let me help you with strategic planning, budgeting, any administrative work that you've got. Let me help you do that. And when I worked at the court, I had an IT section, 23 guys in IT, and if I had an idea about what I wanted to try, I would talk about it, and within days I'd have something to play with. I still have those ideas, so coincidentally I'm teaching myself a lot about web development, web-based, how to work in the social media arena, how not-for-profits can use that same free social media. I won't say I'm a social media expert, but I am going to teach a class on Facebook at the community college later this month. So.
Pat is a person who certainly is not ready for the retirement rocking chair, much like her parents.
I want to keep learning, but I have excellent role models. My parents are 82 and 83, and until my dad was diagnosed with cancer a year ago, he ran his neighborhood group and he ran a neighborhood organization called the Leavenworth Road Association. My mother worked in public service for 40 years. This is what we do. This is what we know. We keep learning, we keep growing. My father's a very happy man today because at 83 he can still mow his own front yard. So we have great role models in the family.